Hi guys, so welcome to this latest video. This week I wanted to do a GYST video. I kind of wanted to highlight how I get my life in order and my life sorted. It's been kind of a crazy end of the year, and since I transitioned to full-time freelance, I was feeling kind of out of sorts, so I kind of really sat down and thought about what's going on to make me feel this way? What can I do to get things in order? So my main thing that I focus on when it comes to getting life in order is cleaning and organizing, whether it be my physical space, my digital space, and even my mental space. I'm a really firm believer that a clear space amounts essentially to a clear mind. I wanted to organize my desk area mainly, toss junk, and most importantly, move my desk away from the wall so that my back wasn't constantly facing away from my space. And I don't know if it's like feng shui or something, but I just feel more grounded with my back to a wall while working versus my back to nothingness. So I moved that. The next step in my process of my GYST week was to organize my tech and files on my laptop. I use my desktop often as a quick save place, but with client work that piled on, it quickly built up. So I went through and I backed up files to my external and then to my larger computer backup external standing drive, and I removed things off my desktop and I just kind of cleaned things up. I cleaned off my desktop and then I sat down to plan. So another big aspect of my GYST for this year is working on goals. I kind of wrote a whole bunch of ideas down for what I wanted to do for this upcoming year. Another thing that I like to do is bullet journal, but I do it in a different way. I like to use printables, and of course I design those printables. Here you'll see me working on my principle, the goal planner. So the whole idea of this goal planner is it's set up kind of in a bullet journal style. I want to highlight things that I'm grateful and thankful for, what worked this past year, what didn't work. I also have a page that focuses on goals that I want to accomplish, and then I have a page that basically helps me map out these goals. And then finally, I have a things to consider page, so that kind of highlights a SWOT analysis, limitations, ways that I can overcome potential obstacles. So on this first page, I'm highlighting things that I'm grateful and thankful for things like my family, my ability to overcome recent health issues. So just really looking at the positives and starting off this goal planning with the positives. And then I want to highlight what worked for me this past year and what didn't work. So, focusing on actually building my product ranges versus always doing client work seemed to benefit me more in the long run. And then highlighting things that didn't work. I like to start with a positive and then look at some of the things that weren't so great. Then I can really start to think about, well, what do I want to accomplish in the new year? So this next page is really focusing on goals that I want to accomplish. Basically promoting the products that I'm releasing. I want to grow my Patreon. I want to grow my newsletter. And then I broke down my goals into 4 sections. So my YouTube channel, the products that I'm creating, Skillshare, and any art-focused projects. So things like releasing a video per week starting in February. So the whole idea is my consistency, I have to have a plan. So we'll get to that in a minute when we look at some of the plans that I have set out. But same thing with products. I want to release 1 new product launch per week. I find that when I'm consistently releasing products, I'm getting found in search on Etsy and on Creative Market, and I'm generating more traffic and I'm generating more income. I also want to launch an enamel pin this year, so we'll see how that goes. And then for Skillshare, I want to release at least 1 Skillshare video per month, and my plan for that is going to make more sense once we look at it, because once I have that content, then it's just a matter of building it out. And then my art-focused goals are really focusing on releasing more art prints, releasing more illustrated posts on Instagram each week, having actual weekly drawing sessions, and then of course hopefully the plan is to have at least a base concept for that illustrated book that I want to do. Once I have that, then I can go to the big plan page. Basically, the main goal that I'm going to focus on for this week was setting up a content and product plan launch. My timeline for, I want to do something each month to focus on helping me release and accomplish this. So January, I had to write out and map out my entire plan for the next 6 months to a year in Trello, and I did that. I'll show you guys that in a minute. And then the progress that I've made so far is that I've already loaded a 6-month plan into Trello on January 14th. And that is what we're going to jump into next. So I use Trello and I use Google Calendar to help me stay on top of tasks, my to-do list, and I use them both as a project management tool. So let's get into that. The final aspect of my GYST week was probably the most comprehensive part. Over the last few months since I left my office job to focus on teaching and freelancing full-time, I found that I kind of felt a little out of sorts, as I mentioned earlier. I couldn't quite put my finger on what was causing this until I sat down to plan this week. I realized that when I had left, I had clients already lined up, and I knew this was going to take me through the new year and beyond. But I didn't really have a clear outline of my personal projects, my e-com shop product launches, client pitches, and all of that kind of stuff organized for the year. I was kind of like going month to month, planning as I went, instead of having like a year-long plan as I would usually have for clients or when I was working in the corporate marketing world. Duh! Of course, no wonder why I was feeling like I was flying by the seat of my pants, because I kind of was. And for someone like me, I work best when I have a plan in place. So once I put pen to paper, I then put fingers to keys to map out my ideas on my computer. And then I had to organize it and schedule things out so I know what to work on and when. And I had a few things still that needed to get done for January. So all of the new content that I was planning is basically set to launch the beginning of February. The way I make sense of it is using project management tools. There are 2 project management tools that I use the most, and they are Trello and Google Calendar. I'm sure there's like a bajillion and one Trello videos out there and Google Calendar videos out there, but this is just how I approach it. These are basically my go-to for working with clients on major projects, as it keeps them on task for deliverables, and it allows me to track my progress, share files, and to-do lists really easily. So of course it does the same for my business projects as well. I have 2 main Trello boards that I use, a content/product calendar where I highlight all of the products, all of my content for each different platform for the whole entire year, and I just kind of use it as my dumping ground for organizing my brainstorming list that I created essentially in a Word document. Here I put all of my brainstorm content ideas into action. I have it organized by platform type like Etsy, Creative Market, Patreon, YouTube, and Skillshare. And then I planned out when each thing would go live, and I added specific details about the project. I can then add these dates and a header like a title to my Google Calendar to show them in real time with deadlines and timelines. Then the second project management tool I use is Google Calendar. This is what basically helps me to stay on task. I input my Trello deadlines into the calendar, and I have it synced with my iCal. I can add in timelines and deadlines of when projects are due or when a new class or video should launch, and then work backwards to highlight when I should work on things like illustrations, inking, digitizing for products, and things like scripts and filming for YouTube and Skillshare. There are some things you should keep in mind. While I mapped out and set deadlines for an entire year in Trello, I only schedule out no more than 2 to 3 months at a time max into my Google Calendar. It can be really overwhelming doing more than that. Also, you can use your first few months as a template of the workflow that you have set up, and then basically use those same days. Like if every second Thursday works to launch A and B, always keep that in mind. You can keep track of how things work, if you meet your deadlines. If you don't, make note of that and maybe highlight why. You can see what you can change or adjust for following months based on what you did the month prior. I also try to limit myself to 3 tasks per day, but I found over the last few months that trying to get like 1,000,001 things done in a day isn't going to happen. And instead of making me feel like I'm accomplished, it kind of made me feel like I wasn't getting things done that I needed to get done. And finally, the biggest change and adjustment for me that I'm making this year is blocking out my time. Rather than trying to do 5 different things each day that require different parts of my brain, I'm trying to block out each specific day and dedicating it to a specific aspect of my business. I know I have specific things that I need to work on each week, so I kind of like have a weekly batch plan, and then I batch like projects together, and then I color code them in my Google Calendar based on this. So for example, like I know I have to have a new product launch on Etsy and Creative Market. Every Monday, I have that highlighted in orange. So anything relating to Etsy or Creative Market, it's going to be in orange. Patreon is color coded in blue. YouTube, I know I have to have a new video each week, so that's in red. The things that I batch together production-wise. So for example, Mondays, I know I have to focus on marketing and social media, so that's why I call it Marketing Mondays. They're all highlighting products or content that has already gone live. And then Tuesdays, I have that dedicated to Etsy and Creative Market, basically illustrating, designing, printing, cutting stickers and products, and I work on products a week in advance. So, and I also include any design work, like client-focused design work on Tuesdays, because sometimes one sticker pack isn't going to take me the whole day, but maybe I have client work as well that needs to be done in terms of branding or logo design or web design, and that's using the creative side of my brain, so it makes sense to basically have that done on those Tuesdays when I'm already planning on doing creative work. Wednesdays are dedicated to video editing, batch filming, things like vlogs that I basically work on a week or 2 in advance, tutorials, client work that has to be edited, and then sometimes if I need it, I may use a Wednesday like I did this week for editing for Skillshare, just because my Skillshare classes are so intensive, and because this week is just like I'm in the transition week before I get into this new schedule. I had a bunch of stuff that I needed to catch up on, so I wanted to do that today, and since I'm already editing, working on YouTube and filming and things like that, it made sense. Thursdays I dedicate to Patreon only, so prepping polls, designing digital downloads, prepping blog posts for the month and printables or digital stickers and zines. And then usually if I do that in the morning, I can use the afternoon for any Skillshare work that I need to work through. So for example, I may have a Skillshare launch on a Friday. I can use that Thursday to help prep marketing materials, get everything sorted that I didn't get through the week before. Or I can use the second half of my day for a scripting day. If I'm prepping a class, I need to script out what I'm going to say, what I'm going to review, and that helps me on those specific days. And I kind of use the same kind of brain for that kind of work anyways, so it makes sense. And then Friday is basically my overflow day, so anything that I have not had a chance to finish on Tuesday for my Creative Market and my Etsy shop, I'll finish on Friday. And then every second Friday, I focus on recording my monthly video for Skillshare for my Skillshare class. I'm really hoping to do a video a month this year for Skillshare. They let you load new classes every single week, but there's just, in terms of how intense my classes are and how in depth I go into them, one a month seems to be like my sweet spot right now. Hopefully as I get better and faster at it, I might be able to do more. And with Skillshare, the more classes you have, the more traffic you can generate. But right now, I think one class a month is really good for the balance of work that I currently have. So I kind of like factored in not just design, but also production, editing, and then live launches. So the reason I use 2 tools is so that I can see my weekly tasks at a glance in my monthly calendar. Trello kind of allows me to create a really comprehensive to-do list along with deadlines and places I can add in notes and files, but Google calendar basically allows me to see that in a monthly outline versus to-do lists. It's what works for me, and it may or may not work for everyone else, but it's a start to getting things on track. I hope you found this video informative, and if you have any questions, please feel free to leave them in the comment section below. And thanks for watching. Bye!